It was so close. There's a little lag on it, I think.
Darn it. Sorry,
But it wasn't for
folks.
lack of trying. It
2
was
seconds late. Dang it.
trying to be timed exactly for 2 o'clock.
Well, you know, when you're the most professional show on the
Hey,
internet,
that's what we do.
bar none. Yeah, that's what we do.
We expect nothing less of ourselves.
I was a guest host on PTUK last Friday. Or Friday?
Yeah.
Last Friday.
Friday this past week.
Yeah. Just a few days
3
ago.
days ago.
Yeah. And it was like everything was ready to go, but Nev would not start it, or Matt or whoever would not start it until exactly the stated time. I'm thinking, really?
Okay.
Okay. Whatever. Hello, everyone. Oh, I should get the
Hi.
Chat room. How are you? Steph, you sound good. What about me, James?
I sound better than I did last week. I don't know if I would say it sound good.
Yeah.
Sound
Your voice is much better.
audible, at least.
Yeah. I think it sounds good.
Okay.
Live, Liz, Tanya. Liz, do me a favor. When we actually start the show, would you kind of write down the time and then kind of keep track of about how much time is elapsing? And then, you know, if we stop for whatever reason, then, you know, take that out of the running time. And then when we get around hour and a half, if you'll please send me a message and let me know that we're
cut us off.
Yeah. That we're at the hour and a half, or getting close to hour and a half or whatever. And that way we can kind of. So if you're wondering why I'm asking Liz, that is because, and you'll notice that on this video, I entitled it episode 339 part 1, because we have the lovely Dr. Steph with us today. And because this is the best day for Steph to join this week. Nick, I think he said he was like, what's that?
I think it's the only day I could actually join this week.
So that's why it's the best
day. Yeah.
Nick, I think, is flying to Dubai today or something, or
soon. I think. Yeah.
So
exactly when.
Yeah, he couldn't do it today. And then Dana, it's a holiday in the U.S., Labor Day, so Julie is home. So I think they are going out and doing something fun.
As they should.
Absolutely. And let's see, what else? So I think Dana and Nick will join me on Friday for part 2. So that is that's the plan. So we'll see how that goes.
It's a good plan.
Thank you, Liz. On it. Make it happen, Captain.
She's so good.
Yes. Yes, she
what
is.
What would we do without you, Liz?
Maybe what we did before we had her.
Yes. But it's so much better now.
It wouldn't be as good. So what did we decide we were going to do?
BDF.
BDF.
And I don't think we actually figured it out on the feedback.
So I got to think of something.
Witty Tuesday.
Yeah, an attempt. Airdropping a disturbing photo. And okay. I think I've got it. So let me go here to the intro, write it down, because otherwise I'll completely forget. Okay. Excuse my typing. What? Oh, we just got a message there.
Yeah, it's from Liz. Yeah, she tells us about 14 on the feedback.
Oh, is it the hypoxia?
Yes, which we have discovered.
And sorry for all the silence. And what was the third one? Oh.
Sorry, I was getting my partial pressure of oxygen charts out.
Oh, got to have those ready.
Yeah. Because, I have all those numbers committed to memory. Definitely.
Should. I think Nick does. What did he say? He readily came up with 2.5 minutes at 25. Oh, I guess because 25, 2.5, 2.5 minutes at 25.
Whatever. I'm going to have like the actual research numbers here.
Now check and make sure he was right about that. Because it would be very disturbing and problematic if we said anything on this show that was in error.
That never happens. He was close. 25,000 is 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh, it's not close. Yeah, it was close. Close enough.
I mean, if you have to estimate, you probably want to underestimate the amount of time you have. So you act expeditiously.
Okay. I think I've got it.
Excellent.
And let me go here and check the... Oh, we need to get our recording started. Is your recorder working?
It is.
Good. That's positive. Hello. Hello. Why is mine not working?
I don't know.
Hello.
Hello.
I mean, I'm looking for the little...
Oh, yeah.
meter. I see your little green bar.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just hit the recorders to see if it is recording. Hello, hello, hello. It is not. Why not?
It's taking the day off. It's a holiday.
Oh, that could be. Well, that would be problematic if I wasn't getting any recording of my voice. Although maybe a lot of people would be welcoming of that. 3. Go to audio hijack and see why. Oh, I know why. Operator error.
Isn't that usually the cause of most things working incorrectly or not appearing to work?
You don't need to point that out, Miss Stephanie.
Oh, no, it's true for everyone. Everyone knows that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just talking about me.
No. I'm talking about generalization. I mean,
yeah,
it's true for me. It's the first thing I have to check at work if something doesn't seem to be working right. It's like, did I actually plug things in?
Did I turn it on? Did I plug it in?
Well, there's one test I do where there's a lot of switching out of leads and electrodes. And sometimes it's just really easy to forget to plug it in.
Actually plug the electrodes in?
Yeah.
There's something terribly wrong with you. We're not getting any response.
There's zero response.
Sorry. Let me plug those in. Okay. So, all right. Hitting the record button. Button, by the way, not button.
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 I would say button.
Button. Some people... Oh, never mind. I'm going to get started. I'm cool with it. I love it.
Do you want to go down that path?
No, I don't. Okay. Could you see?
I could see exactly where you're going.
It'd be hard to escape from it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we can do our claps. So get our ready. 3, 2, 1, clap. Yay.
All right.
That's a good clap there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
in sync.
Oh, in sync.
No, the claps were in sync.
Really?
I don't know. They sounded.
You're asking me?
Yeah. Oh. I can't tell from this end. They all sound.
I know.
Like they come through at the same time.
But they're close.
Okay.
They're close. Okay, and we get that right there. And okay. Forth between these two screens. All right. We're recording there and re-recording here. Just let me double check again just to make sure. Okay. That looks good. And okay. Ready, Steph?
Ready.
All right, here we go.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 339.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. I'm Captain Jeff, your host, broadcasting live from Studio 803 at the Ambassador.
It's an interesting hotel.
Only
You're not
the
a fan?
best for Take two. Yeah, Liz is scratching it out. Okay. New start time. 13:11. In 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 339.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. I'm Captain Jeff, your host, broadcasting live from Studio 803 in the Ambassador Hotel in Wichita, Kansas. Today's show was recorded on the 3rd of September, 2018.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Could you ride and he's flying by with the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, high-altitude fish drop, airdrop of a disturbing photo, a broken flux capacitor causes plane crash? More news, your feedback in this week's plane tale, the Bong Bridge. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in their upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. Flight 339 is ready for pushback. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy show. It's an aviation podcast that we do weekly. Talk about stuff in the aviation news and also answer your feedback. And joining us from her lovely lakeside studio in South Carolina, a doctor, skydiver, marathon runner, strength training junkie, IPA connoisseur, and commercial multi-engine instrument-rated pilot and all-around great person, Dr. Steph.
Well, thanks, Captain Jeff. It's good to see you again. It's good to be heard, I guess. We'll see how long my voice holds out today. I think it's significantly improved, although it's clearly not 100% yet. So my apologies to everyone for last week. And I was really sick last week.
So it wasn't just your voice then. It was more than that.
It started off that way. It was kind of a weird week. I woke up on Sunday last week with a sore throat, which I kind of attributed to being at a get-together the night before and having, been speaking loudly in a crowd of people, and it's no big deal. Went away. Then I felt kind of off all day that day on Sunday. The next day I woke up, felt better for the most part, and then Tuesday just started gradually losing my voice throughout the day for no real reason that I could tell. And then Wednesday was just gone completely, but I felt fine. And then Thursday, I think I just developed a bad sinus infection on top of all of it. And it's been pretty ugly since then. I mean, bad enough that I took time off of work and actually went and got myself checked out and antibiotics. And
oh, it must have been bad for a doctor to actually take time off and go somewhere to have it treated or whatever.
It was pretty bad. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a lot of congestion, a lot of coughing up gross.
Do you
stuff.
think that is because of your exposure to all the various patients that you see?
I have no idea what this is from, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it started on a weekend, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, we're glad that you're feeling better, number one,
Yes.
and number two, that your voice is better.
It's getting there.
And we can actually understand last week, I think, that you made a brief appearance on the
You said,
show.
yeah, come by, say hi. I was like, yeah, I can't. I physically cannot say hello.
I think Nick did a pretty good impression of you.
Yeah, I think he did.
He actually had a little bit of squeaking.
Yeah.
squeakiness to his voice as well. So you'll notice that it's just Steph and I today. We are doing, sometimes we do this. If we, one of the hardest things, I hate when I start one thought and then I switch to another mid-sentence.
Get
Sorry
your
about
thoughts
that. You'll
together.
try
Get
to
your
keep
thoughts together.
everything together if you can. Yeah, one of the hardest things about doing this show with co-hosts is, and especially with co-hosts that live all around the world, and well, mostly here in the United States, but Nick over in London, airline pilots that have kind of crazy schedules, and then of course Dr. Steph. You would think that she'd be stable and never travel anywhere, but of course she does everything, so many different things.
Yeah.
So it's tough for us to get all together at the same time at some point during the week or weekend. And so after we record these shows, I keep banging my mic, sorry. After we record these shows, we are still on the Hangout together. And we start talking about, okay, next week, what's everybody's schedule like, and what would be the best day. And sometimes we have to resort to doing this, where we do multiple parts, like a 2-part show. That's what we're doing on 339 here. We're going to do a 2-parter. Hopefully it'll only be 2. And Steph, you are only available today, and the rest of the week's out for you. And then Nick and Dana weren't available for today, but we're going to do our part on Friday. So hopefully we'll be able to try to limit it to an hour and a half today and an hour and a half on Friday. So we'll see how that works.
I think we've done a good job of picking out. I picked all the lighthearted stuff for myself today. I'm leaving all the heavy, sad, depressing things for Nick and Dana to.
Yeah, because the guys, that's always appropriate to do. Sad,
I've been sick. I just want some fun stuff to talk about.
I don't blame you. I'd rather talk about fun stuff too. So, other than the sickness stuff, anything else interesting going on in?
I haven't done anything. I mean, it was such a slug for the past couple of days. It was terrible because it's, as you said, it's a holiday weekend here, and we've actually had really nice weather for the most part. And I've really not been outside to enjoy much of it, which is kind of sad and depressing. But at the same time, I was really glad that I did not have to go to work today. So I have an extra day to kind of continue recovering, sleep in a little bit. And I'll tell you, though, they did give me some steroids to take, a short course of prednisone. I was up till like 2 o'clock in the morning last night because prednisone really makes it difficult for you to sleep sometimes.
Oh, what does it do?
Wired. It's, it's a steroid.
So it would be as if you had caffeine, if you could.
Basically.
No, wait, caffeine you can. It's coffee.
It's just coffee. Right. Yeah. It's as if you, have a couple cups of coffee right as you want to go to bed, and then,
I found for me, I think, what is it, capsaicin in hot sauces or from chili peppers, kind of it has the same effect on me, keeping me from getting a good night's sleep. Yeah.
So it just upset your stomach so much that you can't.
I don't know if it's like it gets into my bloodstream and just like makes me just like caffeine. It just kind of, I can't relax.
A little agitated. Yeah.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So
no, not really. I mean, because of that, I had a lot of, I was feeling a little bit better yesterday too, even though my voice was a little worse than today. So I took advantage of some of that little burst of energy during the day to rearrange furniture and do a little shopping and,
And you went out for a run earlier today?
I went for a run this morning, just 3 miles. That's the first time I've run in like a week. So it was, I had planned to do it in 2 parts. I was going to do 6 miles, a 3-mile loop, and then another 3-mile loop. I got back from my first 3-mile loop and was coughing pretty violently. So I took that as a sign that I should probably not push my luck.
Yeah. That's listening to your body. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. For me, got home on Thursday from that last trip, and finally, it took me a while this week to get the show edited. I finally got it out on Sunday. Over the weekend, was home and got to watch the Grand Prix
yes. That was yesterday?
Monza, Italy, the Italian Grand Prix. Yeah, it was yesterday. So got a bunch of stuff done, some personal stuff. Really don't want to talk about that. That's it. And then I had this trip, did this trip. It's a great trip. The only downside is that I'm flying on Labor Day, but that's okay. We never do anything on Labor Day anyway in my family. So It was just pretty much another Monday for me and our family. So I saw this trip, and sometimes when you fly on the holidays, the trips are a little odd. You may only fly, for instance, one flight on a certain day. Like today, for me, it was just one leg from Atlanta to here in Wichita,
Oh,
and
well,
then
that's
the rest
nice.
of the day off. And then tomorrow is only two legs, and end up in Dulles at Washington Dulles International for a nice long layover. Get in right around noon, and then Wednesday. No, wait, one to two. Yeah, Wednesday I'm in Springfield, Mass. Get in, mid to late afternoon, and then one leg home on Thursday morning. So it's
Nice.
actually a really good trip, I think.
Yeah,
It's my
well,
kind
it
of trip.
sounds laid back. Sounds leisurely.
Yeah. So I did just a little bit of labor flying the airplane from Atlanta to Wichita today, but not much. So,
I mean, more than an Airbus pilot would do, but
oh yeah, definitely. Absolutely. But, I mentioned I'm going to be in at Dulles tomorrow in Washington, Virginia, actually, to be exact. And I mentioned this on the last show, and just want to remind everybody again, by the time you're hearing this, it'll be history. But if you're watching, if you're with us live right now, and if you're in in the Pennsylvania area, you might want to make plans to join Becky Saylor and Robert Fairbairn and I, and hopefully others, at the Flight 93 Memorial in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And information about that. If you need information about that, you should probably go to Slack, join that Slack group, and you'll get more information there and contact information, etc. If you need the information right away and you're not on Slack, just send me an email, either jeff@airlinepilotguy.com or feedback@airlinepilotguy.com. And then I can get you in touch with Becky, who's basically organizing the whole thing. And the plan is for Robert to pick me up from my hotel in Fairfax, Virginia, drive to a local airport where he flies general aviation. And we're going to fly in an airplane and head down to an airport close to Shanksville. And then we're going to meet up with Becky and whoever else is out there, and a ranger from the Flight 93 Memorial Park, and get a little tour, and and then just have a meetup. So that's
nice.
the
Well,
plan.
that should be good.
Yeah, we're looking, and I got a message from Robert not even an hour ago, I believe, that said he was looking at the weather, and it said, looks like it's shaping up pretty nicely for
Oh,
our
good.
GA flight. The backup plan is if the weather is not good, then we'll drive.
Yeah.
So it's like a 1 hour
So-
flight as opposed to a 3
It's
hour.
a long drive. Yeah.
So
Hopefully the weather holds out. I mean, this time of year is always a little questionable with thunderstorms in the afternoon. It's been really hot and humid. So
yeah.
But good. Glad the weather looks better.
Yeah. And then just a reminder again, later in this month, on the 19th in Columbus, Ohio, probably a mini meetup. And then a longer, more full-blown meetup in St. Louis on the 20th. And so update on meetups. Mentioned also last time that Tiffany is our librarian and
Yes.
belly dancer. And you think I'm joking?
Not.
I'm not. She is putting together an aviation reading list, and we're still working on that. I haven't really had time to create the page on the website and such, but just as soon as we have that up and running, we'll let you know. Good stuff.
Very good. Looking forward to it. I know there were a lot of good suggestions that made it to her already. So
yeah,
interested to see the list.
Good meaty stuff.
I always say I'm going to do more reading, and then I don't.
I know it's hard to find time to do anything.
Well, and I'll open a book right before I go to sleep, but unless it really captivates me, I read about 3 pages, and then I'm awoken by the book hitting me in the head. So,
listening to podcasts.
Yeah, same thing. I get through about 6 minutes of a podcast. And
oh no!
Oh,
hello.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
You're still there?
I'm still here.
Okay.
It was great. You were leaning over and you froze, stuck in that leaned over position.
Okay, our first little blip.
Yes.
Anyway,
well, I think we'll make it through okay.
On so Wednesday of last week, we did our show. And then on Friday, I got
Is
to
that helping you
I
remember?
was just looking.
Where did I put that piece of information? I stored it in my
my Bose
gray
A20. The headband goes over in the middle of my head, and then I was looking at my image in the video, and it looked like I had like part of my hair was sticking up back there. And then I thought to myself, well, that looks probably pretty stupid. Me on the video hitting my head like I'm rubbing my tummy and patting my
just
head.
because you're talented.
Yeah, right. Okay. So on Friday, I was asked to be one of the hosts on the PTUK, the Plain Talking UK podcast, and had a blast. It was a lot of fun being with Nev and Matt. So if you haven't already done so, and I'm sure that if you're listening to this show, most of you have already subscribed to the Plain Talking UK podcast, but check it out. That was a lot of fun.
Nice.
And thank you to Matt and to Nev and Carlos for inviting me to be on the show. It was a lot of fun.
Excellent.
And that is all I have on my list of things to talk about. Do we have anything else to talk about administratively or meetuply?
I don't have any meetup stuff going on for the near future. I don't think I have much else to
How's the Jeep?
The Jeep is good. I had the doors off of it for quite a while because we had a little stretch of better weather. And then yesterday, so I did go out to go furniture shopping. I looked at the radar before I left, and I said, it's going to be potentially soggy. So we put the doors back on, put the roof back on, and then I managed to avoid all the thunderstorms, of course.
Yeah, well, that's Murphy's Law.
Exactly.
But if you had not done that stuff.
No, I probably would have purchased, actually had furniture in the back of the car, and then it would have been, I didn't do that either. They're delivering everything that I bought. So, but what would have happened if I had not put the top on the car is it would have had it in stock, and I would have just taken it with me, and then it would have poured rain, and then I would have been very unhappy.
Exactly. So it worked out. Okay, great. And well, if that's it, let's move on to the coffee fund. And of course, we do that by bringing in Jeff Smith and him singing the Java Jive. Yeah, me too.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea.
I love the APG community.
Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
All right. The Coffee Fund is your way to support our show if you have the financial resources to do so. As we always say, if you need the money for food, for shelter, for clothing, or most importantly, for flying, well, don't send it to us. Spend it on yourself. But if you have some extra and since the last show, the Classic Fund contributor of the week is Sun Young Shao. So hopefully I got close to the proper pronunciation of your name, sir. Thank you for your contribution. And the other way to do it is to become a patron of the show via Patreon. And we have a new producer. Doug Wall has joined us as a producer on Patreon. So thank you very much for joining the Coffee Fund cadre, both of you. If you want more information about how you can join as well, please head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did, and we will too.
Stand by for news.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want you to start us off.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
That's why I was pointing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was not sure what you
Of course,
were.
I got to type something to you. That was
That
another
might
way
have
I
been
could have
clear.
communicated. Yeah.
Anyway,
written
we have several methods of communication here that are more direct.
The nonverbal did not work.
No, I was not sure what you were.
Okay.
You were just pointing like off to the left of my screen.
I was
like,
pointing to you because that's where you are, right there.
Oh, okay.
But then then I went, oh wait, no, the camera's right there.
Right there. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, the news.
Yes.
So this is from Fox News. It's the Utah Department of Wildlife drops fish from plane for extreme restocking, in quotes, of lake. So in Utah, extreme fish stocking is often done via airplane flying over remote mountain lakes. It's not that uncommon to rain cats and dogs. But have you ever seen it rain fish? Dozens of tiny trout fell from the sky in Utah, dropping from a plane into the crystal blue mountain lake below as part of the area's fish stocking efforts. I like that they keep calling it extreme fish stocking.
I don't know.
Sounds like, I don't know, like a reality TV show or something. The Utah Division of Wildlife Resources posted a short video of the bizarre practice on Twitter last week, which shows the fish raining down from the aircraft's underbelly in a gush of water. While the steep fall might look deadly, turns out that 95% of the fish survive the plummet thanks to their small size of about 1 to 3 inches. Tracking is most.
Hang on. So is it me or you?
What?
You were like completely not coming in. Let's see. Let's ask our.
It was probably me.
Okay. So let us know, chat room people.
Yeah. Who froze? Was it me or both of us?
We need to narrow this down to figure out who's. Not that we can do anything about it, I guess. A few hiccups.
Was it both of us or just me talking?
Yeah. Oh, the whole thing is freezing? Both
If it's the whole thing, then it should be on your end, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Seem to be both.
Okay. You know what I had, Robert? I have 39 down, and Jeff froze once earlier, stuff a couple of times. Well, I could use the hotspot, but here, let me do another check of the. Yeah, the last time I did it was 23.5 down and 42.2 up.
See, your up is so much better than mine. That's what makes me think it's mine.
But I have a jitter of 0.84 milliseconds. That's not very good jitter. No data packet loss. Ping is 32 milliseconds. Yeah. Stop the clock. Thank you, Lane.
So my ping is 11, jitter 1.6. Download
1.6 milliseconds?
Yeah.
That's even worse than mine.
My download's really the only good thing. My download's 240.
Wow.
My upload is only.
That's sick.
My upload is 9. Yeah.
Yeah, Robert is making a very good point. It's not just the bandwidth, latency and consistency is important as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, connectivity. I guess I could do the hotspot if I knew where my phone was.
Yeah, it seems to be just happening every once in a while.
No beer here, though.
Oh, thank goodness.
It's okay.
Thank goodness. No beer emergency.
Let's see. I need to plug this in. Otherwise, it'll definitely run out of. So I'll be right back.
All right. Taco. Sorry, my dog has joined me. I gave him a little dog bed to lay on the couch back there. So hopefully he will not be a pester. So how's everyone doing in the chat room? Everyone good?
I love the habit, and it loves me.
I guess I don't have to say anything to entertain you because you'll hear Jeff singing no matter what. I just can't even compete with that. I definitely cannot sing today. That would be really, really a sad situation. So I was gonna say you got up and left, and I was gonna try and talk and entertain, but your singing was much louder than my talking. So
Oh, really? Sorry.
I just let them. Sorry.
My bad. I didn't know because I was kind of a ways away from the microphone.
Yeah. No, it came through really clear. It was nice.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
The Taco came and joined me, and he sat down and then started to groom himself in an interesting part of his body.
Okay, I got it. Well,
like
got it.
right in full view of the camera too. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Okay, I'm going to switch to the hotspot, so there might be a little blip here. So. I'm still here.
You're still there. Can you guys still hear me? Or no? Because right now Jeff is just frozen.
Hello?
Oh, there you are.
Yes.
Yay, you made it back.
I was talking to myself for a while.
You're fuzzy.
All right, now let me do this.
Oh, so I was still there while you were gone. Okay.
Good.
That is definitely not as good quality.
Yeah, it's and I know it's not a very good connection because it's taking forever to find something to connect with.
Yeah, I'd probably go back to the hotel Wi-Fi. It's definitely not an improvement this time around.
Oh yeah. One.
I have no idea. Well, now I have to send him written messages because he's not going to be able to see what I'm doing. Well, I guess I'll just wait for a minute and see if he manages to return. Did anyone catch? Oh, yeah, there you are. Kind of.
I can hear you talking, and I'm going, hello, hello, I'm here.
Oh,
can't you see me?
No.
No? Can
No.
you see me now?
I can see you now.
Okay. So
which one's this? Back to the hotel? This is better.
Yeah, it's yeah, the up bandwidth on the phone was 0.12.
0.12. Good.
It's not good.
I've had better bandwidth on airplanes.
Yeah, it was terrible. So we'll just have to deal with this flaky hotel bandwidth, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'll send you the I promise I didn't stop reading at any point there. I just continued on, and hopefully that was captured on the recording.
Okay. Yes, hopefully so.
I don't remember where I stopped though. So
all right. I mean, is there anything more to say about that?
No.
Well, just pick up.
Let me. I didn't really stop at an ending point though. So
okay. So think like reread the last paragraph you think that you read, and then continue on.
Yeah, there were only like 3 more paragraphs left. It's not that long of an article. I'll continue. So let's see here. So typically, fish stocking is mostly done by trucks with holding tanks that carry the fish to a lake or stream where they are then dumped into the water via pipes. In centuries past, horses were used to pack in metal milk cans filled with fish and water to more remote areas. But by the 1950s, small airplanes became the preferred method, one that is still utilized today. Fish rained down from the sky in northern Mexico last year, though this instance wasn't intentional. Small fish accompanied a light rain in Tampico in September. I don't know how that happens. Is that like Sharknado?
Yes, exactly. I think that's
okay.
probably where they got the idea.
According to the U.S. Library of Congress, it's a phenomenon that has been repeated or reported since ancient times. Scientists believe that tornadoes over water, known as waterspouts, could be responsible for sucking fish into the air where they are blown around until being released to the ground.
Sharknado,
Sharknado. I know, but no, I knew that they did this in Utah. They've been doing it for a long time, as they said in the article. They have these high mountain reservoirs that they stock with fish for fishing purposes. So it's kind of a unique way of getting all the fish into the reservoirs.
That reminds me, we were talking about unusual bird strikes or bird thing strikes.
Imagine flying and having a fish hit your.
Yeah, there was like a flying fish, and it turns out that an airplane hit a fish in the air because I think an eagle or some kind of large bird had the fish, dropped it out of its mouth or its beak.
Oops.
I guess they don't really have mouths. And then the airplane hit it. What are the chances of that?
Something to write up. What happened on your flight today? Well, we hit a fish.
A fish strike.
Fish strike. Yeah.
Trying to find the fish strike paperwork.
It brings new meaning to the term fish finder.
Yeah.
Got him on the fish finder.
Good point. I always love people when they say that.
They say that. It's not annoying at all.
I got it on the fish finder.
Mm-hmm. Shut up.
Yeah.
And
if you're one of those people that do it,
don't.
I'm just kidding. I don't
but
mind.
Don't. Seriously, don't.
But don't. Yeah. I should probably play. I haven't played that in a while because it's just one of my.
Ooh, Jeff's pet peeve.
Oh, that's singular.
Ooh, Jeff's pet peeves.
Yeah. Thank you.
There you go. Excellent.
Okay.
So just kind of a fun, lighthearted story to start things off with. If you didn't know that existed in the world, it does. If you're ever at a high mountain reservoir lake and you're wondering how all those fish got in there, probably because they were put there. Yep, airplanes.
Yeah. All right, moving on to D. A disturbing photo and a leaky can of pepper spray ruined this flight to Hawaii. Hawaiian Airlines Flight 23 en route to Maui began with an alarming photo and ended with a stench that led to an emergency landing. This is from CNN. Passengers boarded the flight Friday morning from Oakland International to Maui's Kahului Airport. Kahului. The plane was supposed to take off at 7 a.m., but it was brought back to the gate because a 15-year-old girl accidentally airdropped a picture of a fake crime scene to passengers, according to CNN affiliate KGO TV. The picture showed a mannequin face down on the ground surrounded by crime scene numerical markers. Sergeant Ray Kelly with the Alameda County Sheriff's Office told KGO about 15 passengers viewed the photo and believed that the picture was threatening. It was found that the girl was just trying to airdrop the photo to her mom, but because she airdropped using Bluetooth, I think that's the only way you can airdrop is via Bluetooth, people in range of her phone had the option of accepting and viewing the photo.
Yeah, but she must have tagged all of them because usually you just select the person that you want. So it sounds like this girl doesn't really know how to use the airdrop feature of her phone. But also, if someone's sending you a photo and you don't know who it is, do you accept that?
No.
Because that's actually happened to me once before. It's like so-and-so is sending you a photo and I'm like, I don't know who that is. And they didn't tell me they were going to send me a photo. And they're definitely like within, but it was clearly just an error, it was a gathering of people, but yeah.
But you may just tap on it and then just see, something you really don't want to see.
Well, that too. You don't know what someone's trying to send you.
Yeah. So that's just a warning to all of you out there. If you see something coming from me, airdropping,
don't open any pictures from Jeff.
Okay. Let's see. The young girl was very embarrassed, Kelly told KGO. She was upset. We explained to her she was not in trouble and there was no crime that was committed. Flight 23 was ultimately delayed for nearly an hour because of that mishap. But the craziness didn't end there. As the Boeing 767 was airborne, passengers seated near the front of the plane told the flight crew they smelled something unpleasant, according to a statement from Hawaiian Airlines. Being cautious, the airline said the flight crew declared an emergency so that they could get emergent or priority handling once they landed in Hawaii. The 12 affected guests temporarily were moved to seats further back in the plane and went back to their original seats once the smell had dissipated. It turns out the smell was from a can of pepper spray that a passenger brought aboard the plane illegally that accidentally discharged. Pepper spray is prohibited on planes and carry-on bags, according to the TSA. So apparently the TSA...
they did their job.
Yeah.
Caught that pepper spray.
Yeah, they didn't do their job. Anyway, first responders treated the 12 passengers and 3 flight attendants for respiratory issues. All were released, the airline said. Let's see. Flight 23 had a somewhat happy ending, though. Besides an apology, the airline said all 256 passengers were given a $500 travel credit. So, yeah, that's nice.
It's fine by me. Next time someone wants to accidentally let their pepper spray thing go by, I'll be happy to collect $500 for my...
I can see her now. She's planning on bringing one on and then, planting it in somebody else's luggage.
No, I would definitely get caught. I'm not that smooth.
Finally, this is pretty good. A reporter on Boston 25 News covering a local plane crash reported the remarks by a local man attributing the cause of the crash to a faulty part. You'll never believe what that part was. The crash took place after a Cessna 182 had dropped skydivers and returned to Cranlin Airport near Boston. The plane overran the runway and flipped over after hitting a ditch. The 20-year-old pilot was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. The FAA is investigating. We have some audio from the reporter, and she'll tell us what they think might have caused this accident.
With the airport and with the manager, and again, as I've said, we've really never had any problems. The airport's run very well.
And Hazelden told us that he believes the issue was with a defective flux capacitor, though the NTSB wouldn't comment on any potential cause today. Go Skydive Boston didn't respond to a written request for comment. We're live in Hanson. I'm Catherine Burcham, Boston 25 News.
I could just see the written request for comment. Could you please tell us a little bit more about the flux capacitor on the aircraft that was involved in the incident?
Well, I think the FAA is going to, that's evidence right there. So I'm sure that'll be part of their investigation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, well, she got pranked.
Well, she may be the only person I know of in the world who is at least not familiar with the movie Back to the Future.
Oh, I'm sure there are others, but
there may very well be, but
not too many others. But
no.
Yeah.
And even if you haven't seen the movie, I feel like flux capacitor is out there in the,
Sounds like something made up, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Yes. Okay.
Does your aircraft have a flux capacitor?
Not that I'm aware of. Okay. I don't remember that in our
not in your manuals or your
systems information. Okay. Maybe there is one. And they just haven't told us. Good with that thing. Okay. As Liz says, aviation is so mysterious.
It is.
It is.
If they'd only had 1.21 gigawatts, they would not have of electricity. They would not have had
gigawatts.
Gigawatts. I'm sorry. Gigawatts.
Come on.
I know. I'm sorry.
We all know that's the way you pronounce it.
Gigawatt. Oh, yeah. Whatever.
Gigawatts is correct. Gigawatts is the way they say it in the movie. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. All right. With that, it's now time for Steph and I to move on to an amusing and entertaining and informative part of the show. Not the best, though.
No. At least not today.
Not today. Nope, that's not it either.
Captain, incoming message.
Well, I'll start off with this first one. Item 1. Ed sends us this feedback. Good day, APG crew. Hope you all enjoyed your trip to Farnborough, making all of us that could not attend green with envy. I am reading faithfully my monthly installment of AOPA Flight Training Magazine when I stopped at the article by Amelia Walsh titled AOPA High School Curriculum is Ready. More than 70 schools to implement 9th grade program. Oh boy, do I wish I was back in school and my school had this opportunity. And then he gives us a link. With the growing decline in pilots, I love the fact that high schools are getting involved in making aviation, not only pilot careers, part of the career development choices. As a longtime pilot wannabe and a plane spotter, I support any possibility and option to help build out this wonderful industry. There is no doubt about it. The aviation industry will have a shortage in the near future. I am referring to the industry in a wider scope, not only pilots, as I believe the industry as a whole is going to suffer. We so often look at the pilots. No, sorry, dream of the pilots. Wow, that came out weird. Yeah, it did, Ed. Okay, we'll just pass that one by
Just
and
let it
move
go.
on.
Yeah, that's fine.
And forget about the great people and support of the pilots and crew. With blue-collar jobs in general being impacted by the new generation, I believe the industry has a challenge at hand. Fewer and fewer youngsters are looking to go into jobs that are considered blue-collar. As a result, colleges and training institutions are no help either by pushing the digital age and soft hands forward. That may seem a bit odd since technology is my bread and butter. However, technology is at the end of the day just a tool and should be used as such. Here, I agree. Making technology and wonders of it part of jobs where airplane panels are repaired, rebuilt, renewed, so that vintage beauty is not equipped with the latest geek tools is a unique career by itself, just as one example out of thousands. Yet, that is not pushed or educated to our youngsters. We take them to Lego camps over summer break, spending hundreds of dollars to keep them occupied with Lego. Yet, when we have an opportunity to educate our high schoolers to find a career where they can build, play a different kind of Lego daily, we fail to educate them on it. As always, thank you for the best podcast out there. Ooh, well, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, we'll take it. Without you, my daily 3-hour commute would be HE double hockey sticks. He didn't say that. It would be hell. With you educating us, even with a 50% accuracy rating, any commute and bumper-to-bumper Silicon Valley traffic becomes a faded memory. Tailwinds, blue skies, and lots of IPAs. Ed Juiced. Oh, Ed. Hey, how you doing? Met you at the meetup that we had. I don't remember the name of the Fault Line, I think. Fault Line Brewery in Mountain View, I believe. Ed was part of that group. He's in Livermore. Thank you for the feedback, sir. P.S. On episode 332, I had a bit of a chuckle at your pronunciations related to Pretoria and Wonderboom. Both of these are very typical Afrikaans, my first native language from South Africa words. Pretoria, in particular, used to be extremely Afrikaans, and Wonderboom AFB, a main landmark just outside of the Voortrekker Monument. Here's a very metallic voice version of it. Okay, so I didn't set that up, so let me copy this and paste it into the browser window. Where are you, browser? Oh, here he is. And let's see what happens. We're waiting for the very metallic voice to...
Wonderboom.
Huh?
Wonderboom.
Ooh.
Oh, that metallic voice.
Let me try that one again.
I was like, the first one's
Wonderboom.
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 Is that the way they talk over there in South Africa?
Wonderboom.
In the
They all
metallic robotic
They all
voice?
sound like robots?
Yes.
Interesting.
I didn't know that. I learned something today.
Yeah, I didn't either. All right, Ed, thanks for that. And thanks for being there for us. And we really appreciate your commentary. And well, I can only speak for myself, but I agree completely that we need to definitely emphasize all the jobs that are in the aviation industry, even those that aren't, super technological, because we need people,
Yep.
humans still in this world.
Exactly. I think like most professions out there, there's a large amount of people who are not maybe at the very forefront that you don't see. They're not the face of the profession, but are definitely needed and important and vital parts of the operation to keep things going. So lots of options out there.
Parts is parts.
Yeah.
All right, Steph.
Number 2, this one was sent to us by Liz. It comes from the BBC, and it's about the kind of going along with encouraging folks to get into aviation, the Brownies launch a badge for future pilots. So this one is, like I said, from the BBC. They call it Girl Guiding Group Brownies. Here in the US, it's part of the Girl Scouts. I assume it's similar around the world. I'm not entirely sure. But they've launched an aviation badge as a part of a campaign to encourage more women to become pilots. To earn the badge, Brownies will have to perform aeronautical experiments and name 40 things that can fly. That sounds very familiar, having been part of Girl Scouts in the past. A lot of these badges, it was like there was homework related to it, and you had to, learn a little bit about what would be required, or I guess affiliated types of things as well. So at present, women account for around, they say 3% of commercial airline pilots worldwide. I think it's probably closer to 5% from what I've seen recently.
Or actually, I think in the last show there was a figure 7%. I believe.
7%. I think that's a little on the high side. I
Might be.
think,
okay.
yeah,
I think at
somewhere
Acme,
around
it's 6.
6. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely certain airlines that are, where the percentage is higher. But either way, it's a low percentage comparatively, less than 10% certainly. So pilot and former Brownie Kate McWilliams said the plan was to engage girls in a pilot career from an early age, adding it was a fantastic job. So EasyJet, which is part of this campaign, wants 20% of its new entrant pilots to be female by 2020. Their figure was 6% in September 2015 and 12% a year later. The new award is one of 117 badges available to Brownies, which is made up of girls between ages 7 and 10. So there you go.
And the Brownies is like the entry level for Girl Scouts, right?
Oh, yeah. I think I want to say there's Daisies here in the US, which is even before Brownies.
Oh.
It's like Daisies, Brownies, Girl Scouts. I forget after that because that's as far as I made it in Girl Scouts. It was like 4th grade. But
yeah, I made it to Tenderfoot in the Boy Scouts.
I made it through a couple seasons of selling Girl Scout cookies and decided I was not very good at that. And it always seemed to be in the winter in Chicago, and I can remember standing out in front of grocery stores and selling Girl Scout cookies in horribly cold weather. The cookies are good; I enjoy eating them. But
I enjoy eating them.
I was not much of a good
for sure
salesperson for the cookies.
Micah says he was a Cub Scout. I was a Cub Scout, Micah. I was a Weebelo. I think that's kind of the in between Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, and then I was a Boy Scout. And I think the very starting level is Tenderfoot. And
gotcha.
My feet never roughed up. That's as far as I got.
But I can remember we did all kinds of science related stuff too, even back then, 20 plus years ago. So
STEM.
I know the Girl Scouts and Brownies do a good job of that for these young ladies.
It would be very important for the Daisies to do STEM.
Well, that's more to do with biology and I'm just kidding.
Daisies.
But again, it's STEM.
Okay.
Still science.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Shall we do number 3?
Sure.
I think Liz did send us some sort of message to tell us how we're doing here.
She said
1 hour left. Oh, good.
That was 8 minutes ago. So we have 50 minutes left.
Excellent. So we'll press on with Texas Charlie. He sent us a link to the title of which, let's see, where is this from? Forbes.com. This guy hacked hundreds of planes from the ground. Now you see that headline and you go, oh, he hacked hundreds of planes from the ground. He had control of the airplanes. He could
manipulate them and do whatever he wanted with the
not
scary.
Anything like that. Throughout November and December of last year, Ruben Santamarta sat in front of his computer, peeking inside the technical bowels of hundreds of aircraft flying thousands of meters above him. That included commercial aircraft operated by some of the biggest airlines in the world. He believes it may have been the first time anyone had hacked planes from the ground by taking advantage of weaknesses in satellite equipment. The cybersecurity researcher could, if he had been so inclined to break the law, have hacked those onboard systems, snooped on the onboard Wi-Fi, and carried out surveillance on all connected passenger devices. Fortunately, the safety systems on the planes were not at risk, thanks to the ways in which modern aircraft segment networks. There you go. Santa Marta, a research at cybersecurity company IO Active, was able to spy on all those planes due to vulnerabilities in satellite communications equipment, such as antennas, sending data up to aircraft and the modems within. Hi, Taco.
Sorry.
That's right. All could be exploited remotely without needing physical access to the hardware. In his words, Santa Marta found various ways to turn satellite communications kit into, quote, radio frequency weapons. He isn't saying just what equipment until he details his attacks in full at the Black Hat Conference in Las Vegas on Thursday. I think it's already over, the Black Hat Conference. Forbes is aware the affected technology. Will update this article once Santa Marta has given his talk. Relevant airline, satellite communications vendors, and government agencies were contacted about the vulnerabilities. Most have fixed the problems uncovered by Santa Marta. Some remain vulnerable. Among the various airlines that had aircraft containing vulnerable kit were Southwest and Norwegian Airlines. I think the person that wrote this must be British, using that word kit there a lot.
Kits.
Southwest and Norwegian Airlines, according to the researcher. At the time of publication, Norwegian hadn't commented on his findings. A Southwest spokesperson said it learned of the issues via the U.S. CERT, an emergency response team sponsored by the U.S. government, and contacted its Wi-Fi partners, Global Eagle, which fixed the issues back in December. They reiterated there was no threat to flyer safety. Interesting. I'm going to scroll down a little bit further into the article here. We'll have the full article link in the show notes. The weaknesses in SATCOM kit also allowed Santa Marta to spy on cargo ships and uncover supposedly hidden military bases. When he spoke with Forbes in mid-July, a number of those bases hadn't yet cloaked themselves. Another severe threat is that of radio frequency attacks that could cause physical harm to individuals and electronics. Satellite communications technology can transfer energy via radio frequencies. Santa Marta hypothesized it should be possible to cause some kind of physical damage to systems by applying that energy to specific parts of an aircraft or ship. It may even be possible to cause physical burns to a person if the RF energy was powerful enough, though IOActive decided not to test that hypothesis.
Well, thank goodness. Well, it's funny. I mean, the types of radio frequencies that they're using for satellite communication is a little different than what we use. That we do actually in some of the treatments that I do. We have something called radio frequency ablation, which does use radio energy basically to heat up a needle probe tip to make a burn across tissue to disrupt nerve fibers and things like that. But it does it in a very, we're talking like, a millimeters of size, not anything that's on a grand scale, like bouncing between satellites or anything like that.
So if you put that on your skin,
it heats to about 90 degrees centigrade. So yeah.
Oh, centigrade. Yeah, that's high. Mm-hmm. That would burn. Mm-hmm. That might hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, if you want to read more about this guy and his story of hacking hundreds of planes from the ground, it'll be in the show notes. Thanks.
I'm really unclear as to what he actually did. He just spied on their Wi-Fi systems. I think
that he could just see the Wi-Fi system and see who was
signal
connected.
And who was connected. And
yeah, so he can see Dr. Steph's iPad and your phone.
Okay.
Yeah. Not really. Now that when you read the whole thing out, you go, isn't really that exciting, is it?
It's interesting. People do stuff like that, and then they say, "Oh, I was able to do this as a way to expose weaknesses in systems." And I suppose that's a good thing to know about. You don't want to have those weaknesses, but it's always strange the way they do it. Kind of on their own, clandestine, and then it's like, "Ooh, look what I was able to do." It's a big news event. I just find it odd.
Yeah, I do too. But with this world that we're, how many hundreds or thousands of news sources and channels and constant 24/7 news reporting, you
got to have something for all hours of the day.
Got to talk about something. All right, let's see. Deanna says, "I've been listening for the past month or so, and decided to support you on an ongoing basis." She is a patron. I think we mentioned her on the last episode. or the one before that. I've taken a couple of flying lessons, but sadly don't have the time to devote to becoming proficient due to demands of my job as a veterinarian. I think about it constantly, though. We have never again moments in medicine, too. Most of us have gotten into a situation in surgery that we thought we could handle, but ended up wishing we'd never started. Fortunately, it usually turns out okay if you don't panic. Helps to have a colleague to consult us, too.
Yep. I completely agree with all of that she said. I mean, there are certain professions out there where you don't want to get into those never again moments where the outcomes perhaps are a little bit more critical. Certainly, if you're, operating on a live animal, like a cat, a dog, or a person, or you're flying an aircraft filled with lots and lots of people, you definitely don't want to get yourself into sticky situations. But good learning experience as always. And like she said, if you don't panic and you can think through things clearly and logically, then a lot of times you can see your way to the solution.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Deanna, and welcome. Thank you for joining the Coffee Fund cadre. We do appreciate it. Really do. Let's see. Would you like to take 6?
Sure. Oh, mine's refreshing. Give me half a second. It'll be back. Okay. This is from Jared. He says, "Hello, APG crew. Jared from Duluth, Georgia here. First, thank you for an incredible podcast. The syndrome is real, and I'm happy to avoid the needed medication in this season when I'm unable to fly as much as I used to."
Oh, you know what? We haven't done this in a while. The medication that is not
Yes.
FDA approved, I should
No.
right up front say.
It's in
that-
trials, I think, clinical trials
It
right
is.
now.
But I may have helped some people. I'm not sure, but you might want to check this out.
Why, hello there. My name is Miami Hick, and I'm here to talk to you today about an embarrassing subject that no one likes to talk about, APG syndrome. Do you have a constant pain in your neck from always looking up at airplanes? Have you tried to grow your own Captain Jeff mustache? Do you think of Miami Rick every time you hear a cricket? Think of Captain Nick when you hear a frog croak. Think of Dana whenever you eat Boston baked beans. Do you think of Dr. Steph whenever you get stuck with a needle? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you are suffering from APG syndrome. Well, suffer no more. Introducing Go Around Acillin. With only 36 daily doses of an easy-to-swallow pill, you can be free of your symptoms with Go Around Acillin. Talk to your doctor today and find out if Go Around Acillin is right for you. Like all medicine, Go Around Acillin has side effects which include headache, nausea, vomiting, stomach bleeding, bleeding from the ears, nose, and eyes, uncontrolled diarrhea, stomach cramps, yellowing of the teeth, hair, and toenails, warts, hair loss, dry mouth, constipation, and stomach cramps.
But it's worth it.
I mean,
only
36 easy
36
daily doses.
easy
Easy to
doses
swallow daily doses.
every day. Okay, they have a long way to go, but that might be something you might want to check out.
Nice to hear Miami Hick. We miss him around here.
We do. Okay.
All right. Secondly, to Captain Jeff, I'm very glad you got to enjoy our little downtown recently. I guess you were in Duluth, Georgia recently.
Yeah,
if
I had
you
a little
get
meetup.
Oh, good. If you get to come around again, I highly recommend Dreamland Barbecue or
Place. What was it called? Pure Optic.
What was that? Sorry, I missed it.
We having some issues again.
That's fine.
Yeah, I had a met up with a young man, a survey pilot, and
Yes.
at the Pure Taqueria in Duluth,
right.
and Dreamland. Oh, you haven't
Dreamland
read that part yet.
Barbecue or O4W Pizza for your
Yeah, I
next
saw
stop.
the O4W pizza. I saw both of them, and actually, there's a Dreamland barbecue like really close to where I live. In fact, sometimes I drive by and I can smell the wonderful hickory smoke, and it always makes my stomach go growl. Anyway, yeah, we have one very close by in Roswell.
Sounds
Okay,
lovely.
continue.
Anyway, I wanted to hear all of your thoughts on this piece I found this morning. This was on August 13th, 2018 from CBS. It appears as though the pilot here experienced some sort of component failure, engine, I'd guess, and attempted an off-field landing. Unfortunately, the pilot perished as the plane crashed during the attempted landing. My thoughts and prayers go out to the pilot's family. What I wanted to focus on, though, was an error in the report that I think highlights a huge issue in our media today. when it comes to reporting aviation incidents. Assuming that they don't correct the piece before you see this, the second paragraph reads, LAFD says there was no other injuries and no damage to any structures from the Beechcraft A320 aircraft. It's no secret that an A320 is not a single-engine GA aircraft. The plane involved was an A36 Bonanza. Now, I know typos get made in the age of instant reporting. However, the entire article only has a whopping 153 words. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but I feel like some care for accuracy is due in situations like this. So this brings up two questions that I'd love to hear your thoughts on. The first, is there anything that the pilot community can do to somehow, quote, fix or at least mitigate the effects of the issue of subpar reporting on aviation incidents? Secondly, I feel as though the sensational reporting we see with aviation incidents could be driving people away from the industry, furthering, to some degree, the already terrible pilot shortage we have. So, where is the line on reporting accidents where we can maintain respect for the dangers that exist while also not driving away those who might be interested in flying? Thanks a ton, Tailwinds, Jared. And then he does include this is a very brief article about this unfortunate accident in Los Angeles. But it was basically, as he said, a single engine Bonanza A36 aircraft that, let's see, it crashed in a field, I guess, on approach. But yeah, the second paragraph still reads, at least as it was copied and pasted here, the LA Fire Department says there were no other injuries and no damage to any structures from the Beechcraft A320 aircraft. So,
Well, a lot of people don't realize that Beechcraft bought the rights to manufacture that airplane now. No, wait a minute. They didn't.
to manufacture the A320?
20.
Not the other way around. It's not going to be Airbus manufacturing the Beechcraft.
Yeah.
The Beach Bear.
You didn't hear that? You didn't see that in the news?
No.
Okay.
I missed that one.
So, Steph, what do we do? I mean, what is it we can do to help all these poor journalists that can't seem to get a grasp on aviation?
You know, I think it's the we got to just keep up with the grassroots efforts that we're all doing these days. You know, when you've come across those sensational headlines, those articles with gross inaccuracies, because a lot of times now they're linked to social media things. So you'll see them embedded in a tweet or a Facebook page, and you can usually get back to either the source paper or even the author sometimes and say, hey, did you realize that you did this? Because that's not correct. And, you know, it's always amusing to go through and read comments on articles these days, because pretty much any media that's published online will have a section for comments at the end. So if there's a lot of sensationalized information within the article content itself, you'll get all kinds of comments from people ranging from continuing the sensationalism because they don't have a significant amount of knowledge, to people who are really trying to be a little bit more factual about things and say, well, look, this is probably really what happened and what needs to be reported in the meat of it. And, you know, this is why it's maybe not as scary or intense as it's being made out to be.
Yeah.
But I don't think anything is going to stop them from continuing to publish this drivel, because like Jeff was saying earlier, you know, it's 24-hour news and there's huge pressure on these guys to get something out immediately. And unfortunately, when you're publishing for sake of quantity and not quality, some of that fact checking and editing and other important things kind of go out the window.
By the wayside.
Yeah.
Or out the window, yeah. In a way, I kind of have to sympathize a little bit with, today's journalist when you're covering a story on a subject that you know nothing about. It can, that's like me going out there and covering a story on, beekeeping or something. I don't know anything about it. I may get some information from someone who's pranking me, or I may,
flux capacitor.
Yeah, like a flux capacitor.
Sure bees have flux capacitors.
Yeah, well, they may actually. Anyway, so but it still irritates those of us who do know what's right and wrong and know something about the subject. But as we said before, it makes you wonder if you see all these errors in, let's say, aviation, something we know about, or medicine, Dr. Steph.
It's rampant there too. It's great.
And I'm thinking that it's got to be the same with law.
Sure.
We are always reporting
anything that's specialized, anything that's not a common knowledge general topic is going to be prone to these same types of errors because of lack of subspecialty knowledge by the person who's writing about it.
But you'd think that they'd have somebody on staff that, yeah, hey, if you write a story about aviation, Ben knows something about aviation. He's a private pilot. Why don't you just, pass it by him first before you go to press on it?
Yeah.
But, whatever.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter much
and
anymore.
I don't know so much that this is contributing to the pilot shortage. I think people who are still interested in being pilots are not going. They're going to fall in the same category as us, where they can read through the sensationalism and misinformation that's in a lot of these articles, and it's not going to deter them from becoming a pilot. I think that's other factors entirely, money mostly.
Money, mostly money.
I had another point to make about that too, and now I've
And it
forgotten.
was a good one.
It was.
One does never know what it was.
Actually, I do know what it was. I'm sorry. I think the lay people out there who read these articles and don't have our depth of knowledge, or at least interest in the subject material, are the ones who are affected the most by the sensational reporting. And I think you see that a lot in some of the people who are nervous flyers on aircraft. And I think it goes a long way if someone really does seem nervous or really anxious, to ask them if you can explain anything to them or tell them about what's going on, because that little bit of knowledge and explaining what's going on really does go a long way for a lot of people. It doesn't have to be anything super detailed or in depth. It just has to be basics.
Yeah, you might completely lose them, and they may actually kill themselves if you go into too much detail.
Don't jump into like Miami Rick level
No, that's a mistake.
detailed information. I mean, maybe well, you can put them to sleep a little bit.
If you're new to the podcast and you didn't quite catch that reference that Steph just made, just tune in to, I don't know, starting around the late 90s, early 100s, right?
No, after that it was like
150?
150-ish, 175, somewhere in there.
Just look for one of the episodes with Miami Rick in there, and you'll understand. And also the reference that Miami Hick. Okay, you probably don't even know who Miami Hick is.
We've dropped all kinds of references in here.
Well, you just gotta go back and listen to all of them.
If you don't know what we're talking about, you do not have the APG syndrome.
That's right.
And we usually don't recommend that people go back and listen to all of the episodes in order, because
it can be time consuming.
Time consuming, definitely. But one or two here or there to get a little flavor of how the show's evolved over time is, I think, good.
It used to be a lot better.
I mean, you're going to see it's a steady decline. Just
and at this rate,
and it's just speeding up. It's exponential.
Completely, wow. Very soon. Okay. Thanks, Jared, for your feedback. And moving on, Louisiana Steve.
Actually, I think his is a request for Dana. Hold on.
Oh, never mind.
Hold on, let me see.
Okay.
Yes, well, no, it's not a request, but there is something for Dana in there. So let's skip that one.
Well, then we'll skip that one then. Which one should we do next, do you think?
I've forgotten. Hold on. I'm going through them again. I did a lot of prep work for this show.
Yeah, well, we tried to pick feedback items that were pertinent to Steph and I.
We could do the self-upgrade one.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Captains and doctors. Only one doctor here that I'm aware of. Listening to the most recent episode and the lady who had grade reminded me of a little story that I thought I might share. Feel free to use or bin. A couple of years ago, my wife and I flew to Las Vegas with friends to celebrate our first wedding anniversary. A good time was had by all, and 4 days after our arrival, a rather haggard group of Yorkshire folk gathered at the airport to fly back to Manchester via a connecting flight at London Heathrow. After some time awaiting, boarding was called, and our boarding cards were scanned. As we boarded the aged bone shaker, the Boeing 747, our friends were sent off to the back of the plane.
It ain't Boeing, I ain't going.
We were greeted differently. The flight attendant instantly greeted my wife. Okay, let me start here. We were greeted differently. The flight attendant instantly greeted my wife and I by name and told us to walk this way as she turned to the front of the plane. Somewhat mystified, we followed as I looked at our boarding cards, which said 4D and 4E. Now, at this point, I had no idea what was going on, as I'm sure that I would have remembered those seats being assigned. As we walked and we arrived in first class, I marveled at the size of the seats, the screens, the lighting. It felt a very different world. Still, no idea what was going on. We had no choice but to go with the flow. We arrived at our seats, but alas, someone was in them. The flight attendant joined our confusion and had another look at our boarding cards. Removing them from our passports, as they had been returned to us by the gate agent, she realized that 4D and 4E were our seat assignments for our London to Manchester leg. At this point, we were turned around and sent back to the back of the plane to join our friends, where we were able to share the wonders of first class with the thoughts of what could have been. I'm sure the flight attendant thought we were trying it on, but we genuinely had no idea what was going on. Perhaps the most impressive part was how quickly they jumped into first class mode. Yeah, and how quickly they jumped.
Then they dismiss. Oh,
Cargo.
be gone with you.
Yeah, what are you doing up here? Get out of here. As ever, great podcast. You have created a wonderful community. Keep the blue sky up. Best regards, David Powell. Thank you, David, and for sharing that story. And that's funny how they, oh no, this way, please. And you're going, yeah. oh, okay, I'll go up there. And then reality.
And then it's all taken away.
Yeah.
I'm sure if this happened to any of us, we'd be thinking, oh, I didn't notice that I got an upgrade. This is great. This is going to be the best flight ever. I mean, Las Vegas to London, that's a long flight. Nice to be up front. A little champagne, little lie flat seat. Yeah.
Steph would be not surprised at all. This probably happens to her all the time. Upgrades. Constantly.
Oh, I'm usually aware of when I get my upgrades because it usually means I've purchased them.
Oh, okay.
But it is, it's funny how he talks about first class mode. It's a real thing. It's, and especially with certain airlines, the
right
level of service definitely goes up several notches as soon as you get to a higher class.
And it's especially important or significant when you are flying those long haul flights. Really makes a difference.
Oh yeah, it makes a big difference to have a. It's just the lie flat seat for me is the big thing because then I can actually get like restorative sleep.
Yeah,
I can sleep pretty much on any aircraft seat, but it is nice to lay flat as opposed to like being crammed up, against the. Because usually I take a window seat, so I'll just lean against the window. Although I never stay there. My head tends to like fall back to the center and then over to the guy sitting next to me. And eventually I start, snoring and drooling a little bit. And
nice.
I'm sure everyone who's ever sat next to me on an airplane has loved the experience.
Oh no, they see you. They spot you when they're on the aircraft. Oh,
like,
I hope she doesn't sit down next to me.
She's just going to pass out and drool all over the place for the next 3 hours.
Hope she doesn't take an Ambien again.
Right. Oh, I don't even need that.
Okay. Well, let's see. I think we can do the next one sent in by Colonel Jeff.
Okay.
Can't we? Yay or nay?
Yay.
Oh.
I think so.
All right. Serious incident. Robinson R44 Raven 2 4XBCR, or I should say 4X-ray Bravo Charlie Romeo on the 14th of August 2018. This is from the Aviation Safety Network. So this is an accident report. Let's see. The 14th of August, around 11 o'clock local time. And we just talked about the aircraft involved, a Robinson R44 helicopter. Let's see. On Tuesday, about 11 o'clock local time, a Robinson R44 helicopter operated by an agricultural company, while spraying an orange field near the city of Petah Tikwa.
Yeah, sounds great.
Petah Tikwa.
And that's in Israel, by the way.
Okay, so think about somebody that's Israeli saying that. Okay. Collided with a Phantom 4 drone. The helicopter pilot started his working day at 6:30 local time. At around 7:05, he took off for a couple of spraying missions And after 2 shift cycles for refueling and loading the chemical materials, he took off again for his third and last mission of the day towards an orange field nearby. He started spraying for 20 minutes. At the same time, a UAS pilot licensed who worked for a local building company started his day for mapping an area under construction which was adjacent to the orange field where the helicopter sprayed. Around 11 o'clock local time, we've established that several times. While the drone approached one of its sight end corners, the drone operator noticed a helicopter maneuvering low and close to the ground, about 30 meters. Immediately, he switched to manual control mode and lowered the drone towards the ground. At the same time, the helicopter pilot noticed a white body at approximately 10 meters on his left side, followed by a bang feeling that the pilot heard from his lower left side of the helicopter. Since the helicopter pilot did not feel any degradation in flying the helicopter, no shakes, no power loss or control problem, he located a nearby landing area and landed normally and safely. At the same time, the drone operator lost communication with the UAS and thought that it had crashed, either due to the helicopter's slipstream or due to heavy landing after the initiation of the rapid quick descent order from manual control. After exiting the helicopter, the pilot assessed visually the helicopter, found the UAS jammed and broken into the lattice spray system. After the technical personnel arrived to the scene, they viewed and checked the helicopter and the spraying system and found them airworthy. The helicopter resumed its work and landed safely at its home base. Both operators were working in accordance to the aviation law and by the published regulations. They were properly licensed and adhered to the working altitudes approved and authorized. So here we have a case of an actual collision of a helicopter and a drone. Remember, we talked a few episodes back we saw the video of one that was a very close call, but I don't think it was actually a collision. In this case, this was a collision. In this case, it was a collision, and we have the pictures to prove it. And the interesting thing is that both parties were doing everything legally and reasonably, and it just happened to be one of those things where the big sky theory didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, they were both working in, it sounds like, semi-confined areas, so these were adjacent areas. I think the helicopter pilot was in his, what kind of field was it? Agriculture stuff? Oranges. And then the area under construction was right next to the orange field. So they were actually in very close proximity. I'm a little surprised. I mean, I guess it just depends on, I mean, I'm not super familiar with how all the agriculture stuff works, but they only have a limited amount of material to spray before they have to go and reload that as well. So oftentimes there'll be a site right adjacent to the fields they're working in where they have their operations set up so that they can just land, reload the whatever they're spraying, the fertilizer, whatever it is, and then go back out. I wonder how close that was to the construction site. But I also wonder, did the drone pilot not realize that this was going on so close? I think you would notice a helicopter spraying in a field right next to a construction site. Maybe.
You'd think. And you'd
think.
hear it too, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, if anything else, you'd know that there was something going on nearby.
Yeah.
So, this is it. You can certainly have accidents where everyone's operating perfectly legally. That doesn't mean that you're free from entering into something that's going to cause an accident. So,
good point.
You can have 2 aircraft, operating perfectly legally that just end up on collision courses.
Yeah, VFR.
Right? Yep. See and avoid, but don't manage to see and avoid.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for sending that story, Daniel. Excuse me, Colonel Jeff, the better looking captain.
Hey, just to reiterate though, this happened at about 11 o'clock.
I don't recall. Did they say?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Someone was asking for clarification in the chat.
Sarcasm there. 20 minutes to go, according to Liz. Okay. How about you want to do this one, number 11?
Sure. Sorry, I have to keep.
That's okay. It's all these little pauses are cut out in the
excellent
in the audio.
So did you see the Q at the top there? That's for you.
I did.
Okay. Good.
What did you say? 40 or 20?
20.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. All right. This is from Daniel. He says, "Hello, APG crew. I am sure you will talk about the recent Stolen Horizon Airlines plane out of SeaTac Airport, so I won't delve too much into it." And yes, we did talk about it. I did not actually miss that episode too, but you guys covered it in great detail and very good insights. My own experience was as a passenger on a plane that was set to depart around the time the stolen plane was in the air, so the airspace was closed. I was on an Alaska Airlines flight to San Diego, and the flight attendant came over the speaker to let us know that there was an incident, so we were being delayed. A few minutes later, the captain came out of the cockpit and spoke to the flight. He let us know some of what was going on, something like, "Someone who shouldn't be flying a plane is flying all over the area and the airspace is closed." But he assured us that since this is an airplane, the guy would be on the ground soon enough, one way or another. Here's one way or another.
One way or another.
I like the vague. I could just definitely see this. I mean, that when you don't have a lot of information to give, but you have to say something, you end up
Right.
saying things that just don't sound real sensical at the moment. And I can just completely imagine this captain going, someone who really shouldn't be flying is flying all over the place, and they close the airspace. That's all we know. Get back to you. We
Yeah.
appreciate your patience.
And thank you for flying with us
Thank you for
today.
flying with us. Thank you for flying Alaska
Sit back and
Airlines.
relax.
Yeah. So he says, "Here's my question. Since it was a late-ish flight to San Diego, there was concern about meeting the San Diego airport curfew. I lived in San Diego for about 10 years, and the curfew was something I knew about, but not much. My understanding is that flights can land past the curfew, but they have to pay a fee. The pilot assured us that we would still complete our flight, albeit late, so getting to our destination wasn't a concern. Since our flight was delayed not by any fault of the airline, but rather ATC closing the Seattle airspace, would the airline get the fee waived? As always, thanks for the great show and thanks for all you do. Blue skies, etc. Yours, Daniel Simon." He says, "P.S. I am currently a student pilot and I fly Cessna 172s out of Kilo Tango India Whiskey, which is Tacoma Narrows Airport. When I recently completed my first solo, I was coming in for my final landing, and to be honest, I wasn't really set up for a good landing, too high and too fast. The part of me that wanted to complete my landing thought about trying it anyway, but at that moment, I seriously heard the 'You Can Always Go Around' song in my head."
You can always go around if it don't look right coming down. Don't wait until you're sideways, baby, sliding on the ground. You can always
Go around.
He says, "Naturally, I took the song's advice, did a go around, and had a good last landing. My CFI commented that he thought I was going to try for a bad landing, but he was impressed that I chose to do the go around. So extra thanks to your show for imparting good advice that stuck with me." It doesn't happen often, Daniel, but you're welcome.
Just every now and then,
Every now and then,
blind squirrel will find a nut.
That's true. So what happens here if there's a curfew, but they're delayed beyond your control? It's not that you...
I would just have to hazard a guess because I don't know the real answer to this question, but I would imagine that if it were due to things happening beyond the control of the airline and the pilots operating the flight, that they would waive that fee. But I don't know.
Maybe not. I guess they really don't have to.
No.
And maybe that's just something that you build into your operating expenses to know that every once in a while things like that are gonna happen.
Right. And the airline's got to look at the cost of paying the fee, which is probably a significant fee, or the cost of not getting all these passengers to their destination and how much that's going to cost.
Right.
Yeah. So
and that's probably a whole lot more. Yeah, it definitely tips the scale. And so either way that it happened, I think they were going to operate that flight no matter what. I don't know how much that fee runs in San Diego, but I know some airports have some pretty considerable penalty fees for breaking curfew.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's what we think.
Maybe if there's someone who knows more about what happens in San Diego, or at least or other airports that have time or noise curfews.
Right, you can keep it to yourself. No, I'm just kidding. You can send that in to us, and we'll let you know what you say regarding that.
Might be more helpful.
Okay, and I think this is going to be the last one we do on today's show, Steph. 14.
Yep, read this one too. So this is from Nick. Not Captain Nick, it's from Nick Wilson. He says, "Hi, APG crew. Just listening to APG 337 and have a couple of follow-up questions on how the emergency oxygen system operates. Do the oxygen masks automatically deploy in the cabin, or do they have to be manually activated by one of the pilots? You want to take these one at a time? We can.
Sure.
There's a bunch of questions. So that one's for you.
Go ahead.
No,
Do you know
that's
the answer?
I actually do not.
Okay, this one I can answer.
Yes.
All the airplanes that I've flown, the oxygen masks are supposed to automatically deploy when cabin altitude gets to a certain level. And if the masks don't automatically deploy, we do have a switch, a button, a lever, something to manually activate the panels opening so that the masks will fall down. Oh, the other way to do it as well is to have a really hard landing and a little
Like
bit
in
of
a 727.
727. I did that a few times.
What do they call it? The orchard?
The orchard,
Yeah.
the orange orchard or something like that, which kind of ties in with that last story with the Robinson helicopter because they were
Doing the
spraying
orange
orange.
field.
Yeah.
So I actually have a question about that. I don't know if I ever asked you if that, on the occasions, the few occasions, the rare occasions, I'm sure that happened with
Mhm.
your excellent landings. They just have to come and reset all of them, or
Yeah,
just
you gotta restow all of them. Somebody does maintenance
thing.
or whatever. I don't remember ever having to do that myself. And the one actually I only had the orchard come out once, and it was a horrible landing. But I must say it was not entirely my fault. In fact, it was mostly not my fault. The captain that I was flying with, a friend of mine, and we went to church together. It was a landing at Sarasota, Thanksgiving Day, I remember, or the day before Thanksgiving. It was like, I think, no, it was Thanksgiving Day. And we were coming in to land at Sarasota, short runway. They've since extended the runway a bit. And it was a pretty good crosswind. And I had the thing, set up just perfectly for a crosswind landing. Okay, there's the right wheel. And now I'm going to gently lower the left wing and lower the left wheel to the runway. And the 727, at least in the version that we flew, didn't have automatic spoiler systems. It was all manually deployed by the captain. And I guess maybe he was getting nervous about the fact that it was a short runway, and maybe he was just like really primed to get those spoilers out as quickly as he could. But while I was still trying to fly the left wing down to the runway, he deployed the spoilers. Of course, they all come out,
Surprise!
all at the same time, and go wham! And that was all she wrote. It was horrible, and I had to stand at the door and say goodbye to everybody and endure all the hate. But anyway, and there's more to the story, but I'm not going to get into it now. But anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
next question also for you. What kind of warning is there in the cockpit? Audible or a visual alert?
It's an audible warning, and well, actually both. There's a
Because you can look and see what the cabin altitude is, correct?
right. That, and there's an enunciation about cabin altitude, and there's this really annoying sound that, I mean, you can't, you notice it. There's no way you could possibly not notice the cabin altitude warning system.
Gotcha. And then he says, am I correct in saying that the pilots have their own oxygen masks themselves? Where are they stowed? Or do theirs also deploy from a panel above them?
We do not have panels above us, at least no airplane I've ever flown. And on the 727 and I believe the L-1011, they were both hanging up like on a strap. And so it's a quick dawn mask back in those days. And now most of the aircraft that I'm flying now are equipped with a full face mask. And it's all kind of rolled up like a cigar, full face mask, and for like, what do you call it, visor, goggles, and oxygen mask built-in unit, which is great for, if you have a smoke situation. So you can still, you're supposed to be able to still see stuff through, even if it's kind of smoky. And it's in a little box on either side of the captain or the first officer. And you just grab onto the thing and pull it straight up out of its stowage locker, whatever you call it, and then you hit a button on it, and air pressure influx. Basically, one motion right over your head, and you have the mask on your face very rapidly.
Gotcha. All right. And here's his question for me. He says, at typical cruise altitude of 35,000 to 40,000 feet, how long does it take before loss of consciousness? And then he's got a second part to this, which we'll get into in a second. So I pulled up my handy. These come from the FAA, so I trust these figures and numbers. But basically, if we go back to, look, I'm going to give Jeff a pop quiz about this too, see if he remembers from earlier episodes where I've talked about this. Do you know at sea level what the percentage of, or what percentage of the air is oxygen as compared to other molecules?
I'd say approximately 16 to 18%.
Close, I'd call it 20. 20 is a good round number. So then if you get up to 35,000 feet, what percentage of the air is composed of oxygen molecules?
I think at 18,000 feet, it's half. So I'd guess what? I'd say maybe 8.
So it's a trick question because the percentage doesn't actually change.
Darn it.
Yes. The percentage doesn't change, but what changes is the pressure. So as you go up in altitude, obviously the pressure drops, but you need that pressure gradient to drive the oxygen molecules across the membranes in the lungs so that you can actually utilize them.
The partial pressure of oxygen.
Partial pressure of oxygen. Yeah. Delta P. I need the bell.
Oh, where's the bell? Sorry, I wish I knew you were going to say that.
Sorry. I
should have been ready for that. Let me see if I hit this B. Yay.
Hey.
It worked.
So what happens, and I haven't, before
say
we get
Delta
to
P again.
Delta P. Yes. So basically at sea level, here in the US, we like to measure things in inches of mercury. So that's 29.92 would be kind of a standard number. So if you get up to 18,000 feet, it drops to 14.94, assuming standard conditions. If you're up to 40,000 feet, it's 5.53 inches of mercury. So you've gone all the way from 29 to 5. And now remember, because you have other molecules in the air besides just oxygen, it's still that 20% of those molecules are what are the oxygen molecules. There's other things there too that are competing to get across that barrier into your lungs as well that we don't utilize in quite the same way as oxygen, obviously. So it does become kind of a exponential decline. So it's not a linear thing. So he asked specifically about 35,000 and 40,000 feet. At 35,000 feet, the average person can expect about 30 seconds to a minute of useful consciousness. But just 5,000 feet higher at 40,000 feet, it drops to 15 to 20 seconds.
Ooh.
So, yeah. At lower altitudes, around 18,000 feet, 20 to 30 minutes is normal. But you get up above 20,000 feet, and that cuts it in half again. So you can really appreciate that there's just this real exponential fall off in terms of how long you're going to have for useful consciousness. So that's why they always tell you, secure your oxygen mask first before you go to help others, because if you don't get yours on, someone else is going to have to be helping you. It's really not a lot of time there.
If that pressure changes like really rapidly, what kind of physiological effects might you experience?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I think at first it's just going to be more than anything. I think people are just going to be surprised by the amount of noise and air movement at first. But then after that, it's really just going to be, it depends on the altitude they're at. So if you're at a lower altitude, you really could just start to see signs of hypoxia first, which could be kind of slow and gradual onset. So say you're down at 18,000 feet, so you've got 20 minutes of useful consciousness. And if the pilots do nothing and keep the aircraft at 18,000 feet, eventually people are going to start exhibiting signs of hypoxia. One of the earliest ones is kind of this sense of euphoria, almost like being intoxicated with alcohol, where you kind of feel a little invincible, which is not a real great side effect to get, because you start to exhibit really poor judgment and you can't recognize that you're not able to perform tasks like you were able to do previously. Beyond that, there's all kinds of things. You can actually have some air hunger and feel like you can't get a deep breath. You can get nauseated, a headache. Some of them are kind of similar to hangover symptoms as well. Some people get blueness of the lips, blueness of the fingertips, tingling in the extremities. And like I said, you definitely can have what's that?
No.
Tingling of the extremities.
Sorry.
I'm just referring to, fingers and toes.
Okay.
Yes. The other
Okay.
ones I can't speak for. Maybe your nose, tingling.
Uh,
And, so yeah, and then other signs, obviously, if someone was watching you and watching what you were able to do, if they were giving you simple math tests to perform or something, it would be very easy at first, but it would, significantly degrade over time as you became more and more hypoxic, and they would notice the blue discoloration and see that maybe you were getting a little fatigued and exhibiting poor judgment and inability to recognize your own ability to perform those tasks. You may say, "Oh yeah, I just did that math problem perfectly fine," but you added 3 and 5 to 24, and there's the person sitting next to you who's not experiencing hypoxia is gonna say, "No, you didn't do that right," and you'd be like, "Yeah, that looks fine." So, um, so that's probably what, you could expect. If it's if you're up at 40,000 feet, it's gonna be quick time to being unconscious, so you're not really going to get through all of those stages of I mean, maybe you do really quickly, but it's gonna be pretty quick. Just basically get your oxygen mask on. So, I think that answered the first part of his question there. And then he says, "To what extent does someone's physical fitness affect the time frame?" So this is a little bit more difficult question to ask. He says, "For example, would an athlete such as a swimmer or a cyclist retain consciousness for significantly longer?" There's some thought out there that, especially highly conditioned athletes, so folks who have a high VO2 max or anaerobic threshold who utilize oxygen very efficiently will probably fare a little bit better for a little bit longer, but that's not a given. So it's not a consistent thing. It's not the same for every person. Um, I wouldn't count on it. I think I'm a pretty well conditioned athlete. I wouldn't count on if I were at an aircraft that was traveling at 38,000 feet and we had uh, rapid decompression, loss of pressurization. I wouldn't count on having any more time of useful consciousness than the person sitting next to me who may not be an athlete at all. It's that time frame is so short, it's not enough to be a significant difference. It's probably more noticeable at lower altitudes, but even then, it's not guaranteed. Some people are just much more susceptible to the effects of hypoxia, and it doesn't always have to do with their level of aerobic conditioning. And I know, I think you guys were talking about this, or we were talking a bit about it more recently. 'Cause I think dispatcher Mike had sent some, either sent some audio feedback or we were listening to his, podcast, or when he was in Oshkosh recently, he got a chance to do the,
yeah, it was one of
basically
his.
oxygen deprivation, simulation, and those are really good if you are a pilot if you ever get a chance to do it, because the nice thing about hypoxia is that a lot of times your symptoms will manifest in the same order each time you're hypoxic. So if you can recognize what hypoxia is for you as soon as it starts to occur, um, then that's a big and be able to recognize it and not lose that ability to uh, make good judgments about it and what to do next. Because sometimes it's hard to recognize, especially if you get that euphoria and loss of judgment. And so if there's other things that you can pick up on real quickly, you can treat it and cut it off a little bit more quickly. So
Very good. Do you have some more?
he did. Hold on, I got away from his.
Okay.
So he says, this one's probably better answered by you again. How long does the emergency oxygen supply last? Does it last longer in the cockpit?
Okay, so in today's airplanes, including even the ancient Mad Dog, we have oxygen generator systems so in the passenger compartment. So when the panel falls down, the mask comes down, and they always say, to kind of pull on it. What you're doing is you're activating the canister, and you're initiating a chemical reaction, and so that chemical reaction results in heat and oxygen, which doesn't really sound like it'd be a good mix, but so that's what's happening when you use the oxygen. For instance, you have a rapid decompression or some kind of a pressurization problem, not a fire situation or a smoke situation. Because as we mentioned before, you're not getting 100% pure oxygen through those masks as a passenger. You're getting oxygen filtered in or combined with the air, the ambient air. So if you have a smoke situation, obviously that's not going to keep the smoke from getting in your lungs. And if you have a fire situation, that's not good at all because you have oxygen, and that's fuel for a fire. Now, in the old days, like the 727, they didn't have those kind of things. The masks that came down actually were fed by a couple of large compressed oxygen tanks that were located underneath the passenger compartment, and then a separate tank located in the crew, the cockpit area for the crew, the pilot crew. And in most airplanes that I know of, that's still the case. The cockpit, the crew, the pilot oxygen system is from a bottle of compressed oxygen located usually, for instance, in the Mad Dog, right behind where the first officer sits, kind of toward the sidewall there. And that's one of the things that we pre-flight. When we come in, we look at the gauge to see what the pressure is on, and there's like a minimum pressure it can get to before we have to have the bottle recharged or another bottle put in. And as far as did he ask about the how long?
Yeah. So the final question was just how long does it take for an emergency descent from cruising altitude to an altitude that allows passengers to breathe normally?
I'm trying to remember. I think it's something to the effect of around 15 minutes of oxygen generated by the oxygen generators. I could be wrong about that, but it's enough time they have calculated for us in the cockpit to get the airplane down to a low enough altitude so that you don't need that extra oxygen.
Usually looking for about 10,000 feet.
Yeah, 10,000 is what we're looking for ideally. And of course, if you're in mountainous terrain, 10,000 may not be a good altitude. So you have to be aware of where you are around the world, and if there's a mountain range underneath you, whatever, you have to know about how low you can go, or you take a special escape route to find an area with where you can go down to a lower altitude, so that the partial pressure of oxygen is high enough so that everybody is safe and sound. Now, as far as the crew oxygen system, I did a quick look and I found an article on the Pilot's Professional Rumor Network. P-Prune has nothing to do with fruit or prunes or anything, to my dismay. And they had a discussion back in 2010 regarding this subject, and somebody put a screenshot or they posted some images of minimum dispatch pressure and how many cubic feet of oxygen, and it depends on the temperature of the bottle and the number of crew members using the oxygen. And looks like in this table, the lowest figure that I see with 2 crew members at 14 degrees Fahrenheit, so very cold, 430, and I'm assuming that means minutes. So that's several hours, obviously. What would that be? 6, 4, 7 hours? All the way up to...
Maybe we do math live on the podcast.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I'm reading this wrong. This is the minimum dispatch pressure.
Oh, pressure.
It doesn't say how long okay, let me read this paragraph right below. The FAA requires that all pilots flying their aircraft above 12,500 feet for 30 minutes or longer, or at 14,000 feet or above during the entire flight, must use some supplemental oxygen. The amount required is 1 liter of oxygen per minute for every 10,000 feet. For example, at 18,000 feet, there should be a flow of 1.8 liters per minute of oxygen available via a standard breathing device. So I guess if you have a crew of 2, probably I would imagine that they would say 3, because you have a jump seat and that also has an oxygen mask system. So whatever altitude times a flow rate of 1.8 liters per times 3 or whatever would probably be. So basically what I'm trying to say here is I have no idea. It lasts for some time. But that reminds me of a story from Captain Al. Remember, he was one of his jobs when he was building time was to, I think, or maybe he'd already been hired by the regional airline. He was flying an Embraer regional jet, but they were ferrying the airplane across the Atlantic, right? I think.
Oh, I don't remember
And
this story for some reason.
oh, okay. It's very. I think it was Captain Al that was telling. I'm almost positive about this.
It sounds familiar, but I don't remember the details.
And they basically had a leak in the oxygen system, and they they did everything that they could to keep the thing going, to keep the flight going, and including going to the back of the airplane and getting the portable bottles. So in addition to the passenger oxygen generators and the flight crew, the cabin, not the cabin crew, the cockpit crew oxygen system, which is a separate system. There are also portable oxygen bottles that the flight attendants have access to. And I think that Captain Al said they went back to the back and got all the portable bottles that they could muster, and they were able to get down low enough. But the problem is that if they get down too low, then the increased fuel consumption
Right.
meant that they
They're
weren't
not
gonna make it.
efficient. They're not going to make it.
So you gotta stay at a certain altitude, but then you didn't want to get too high because then you have the danger of hypoxia. So it was quite a conundrum that they were in. And I'm seeing if anybody in the chat room can
Yeah,
verify
apparently he
this.
was telling us about it at Farnborough, and he told it on PTUK once.
Okay, yeah.
So yes,
It was
I mean, I
Al.
remember the story vaguely, but I couldn't remember any of the details of what. I was probably consuming alcohol at the time I was listening to this story.
Yeah, totally. It may have been that time that you were reading that technical
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Tony S says, I've heard Captain Al's first officers always wear their oxygen masks. And that has nothing to do with hypoxia. It has more to do with.
Well, it's just more you need a filtered air source, I
Yes.
think.
Now, the oxygen system that we use in the cockpit can be a blend of air, and ambient air, and oxygen, or you can go into 100% oxygen mode, which is what we'd have it on if we had a situation where we had to don our oxygen masks. We wanted on 100% oxygen. And then there's even another setting beyond that, which is emergency, and that puts a lot of positive pressure coming into your mask at 100% oxygen. But it's like so much pressure, sometimes it's hard to speak, because when you open your mouth, it's like this huge
Rush
gush of
of
air comes into your mouth. It's hard to fight against it. But yeah, so that's the way our systems work up front. I hope that I didn't confuse everybody here with that. And I know that at least 50% of what I said was correct.
At least.
Yeah.
Same here. I mean, I read some of it just straight from the FAA, so it has to be correct, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nick says, as always, thanks for a great show. Cheers, Nick Wilson.
Well, thank you, Nick, for generating a lot of discussion about that. And as I said, if we didn't get some of that right, perhaps somebody will correct us on it.
They usually do.
Yeah, they usually do. Yeah, and we love you for that. Of course, we need those fact checkers back.
I know.
They kept us on our toes. Oh well. Anyway, that's going to do it for this part of the show. And very soon you'll be hearing the intro music and the voices of Captains Nick and Dana.
Very nice. I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Excellent. All right. And some point in here is when I, of course, just cut this out and we go right on into the
seamless. It'll be a seamless transition.
It'll be just amazing. It'll make you get goosebumps.
Tear up a little bit.
Tingling.
Yeah, tingling.
Yes.
Your extremities.
Tingling the extremities. I think we have a title. My extremities are tingling.
Yes.
I like that one. Okay.
Extremities are tingling.
Good. That's one of the hardest things for me to do. Well,
come up with titles?
Yeah, titles for shows. Okay, what did we talk about that we can put, because we talk about so many different things. You can't put everything you talked about in the title of the show.
No. I feel like usually Nick spews out something that's usable.
Ridiculous.
Just crazy enough to be a show title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And there were a couple people who joined the chat room just right here at the end. Sorry,
really?
guys. Jordan and where's Ort? I forget who that is. Anyway. Sorry,
where's
guys.
Ort? Let's see. Can we click on that and find out who that is?
I thought I was able to, but
I thought we were able to do that too.
Doesn't let me now.
Hide
go to
user,
channel.
add moderator,
Go to channel.
report, go to channel. Nope.
It still says just where's Ort.
Oh, well.
Well, my voice made it mostly.
Yeah,
I tried to have one small coughing fit there at the end. I was
great.
laughing.
Oh yeah. Jeff, did I remember you saying the Acme pilots were? No, it's the FAA requirement, Neville, for anybody that is in a control seat or a jump seat cannot have a beard. That the FAA considers that a problem because it could affect the sealing, the seal of the oxygen mask against your skin. In fact, who was it Brandon Gonzalez, the host of the Podcasting on a Plane podcast. And he talked about it on one of his recent shows where they have this ongoing education. I forgot what the program is called, where they get to ride on the cockpit jump seats. And he ended up going from Southern California. It was like a total of 4 flights, but it was all in one day. And he like somewhere in San Diego to Phoenix to Chicago to Phoenix to San Diego or something like that. And he had a beard, full beard, and he had to shave it. And there was a picture of him saying, "Yeah, I had to shave the beard to do the jump seat thing because of that FAA requirement." And we also must ensure that, or I as the captain have to ensure that if somebody is riding my jump seat, even if it's the FAA, they have to not have the facial hair on their beard areas. The only exception is the Secret Service, and if it's a Secret Service person, they can have a beard.
They can have a beard.
Yeah. Otherwise, they'll shoot you. So.
Well, I guess that just kind of outs them as to who they are, huh?
I guess. Yeah. So what's going on here? Is there any communication that I need to know about Anders? I think. What does that mean?
Oh no, we were wondering where's Ort is, so I've just put that in the chat room. I said Anders, maybe. I'm terrible with names. Yeah. I don't remember. I'm so Anders? Sorry.
Did we figure that out?
No, but he's a coffee fund contributor. So I feel like we should know.
Yeah, well, let me see if I can figure it out that way then. Is he a patron? How do we know that? Is he saying that?
He said that.
Okay. So now I have to go and figure all this out.
This is like high order memory recall stuff here. Where's Ort?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to know what time Friday. Did you guys decide on a time?
I don't recall. Sometime in the midday-ish daylight time frame. I don't know. Liz, do you remember what we said? Aaron Ort. Thank you, Aaron.
Got it.
I don't know. 11 a.m. to noon was discussed. EDT. Okay. So that was from our producer, Liz. She says
she knows all.
Yes. That so it'll be a nice early broadcast for those of you in the hinterlands, the UK and Europe and North Pole. Nick is flying Saturday. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to try to do it as early as we can on Friday. So look for it. Let's say noonish, and we'll do another hour and a half or whatever hour, and then we'll put it all together and hopefully get it published by the end of the weekend. I'm hoping.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us today on our little get together, our little gathering. We do appreciate it. As always, you are in the chat room, our brain. When's Nick coming to Atlanta? He is coming
the 14th. Yes.
The 14th, Friday the 14th. He's gonna come in probably sometime in the afternoon, I think, and then
he gets in relatively early, I think.
And then we're gonna do a meetup somewhere close, but we haven't decided exactly where yet. But it's going to be somewhere close to Nick's hotel. I think. What did he say? They were staying at the Marriott. I think you said. It's one of the downtown
Yeah,
hotels.
it's downtown Atlanta.
So it'll be downtown Atlanta meetup on Friday. And Tanya says that was a halfway great show. No, wait a minute. Great half show.
No, Liz actually said we were half as good as usual, I think.
Ah, okay. Oh yeah. See, main man Mike also agrees with the beard thing. Dispatcher Mike had to shave his beard a couple of times when he jumped seat. Yeah. Oxygen CPAP machine. Yeah. Captain Al has been known to gush air on occasion. Yes. It's not a
putting it delicately.
It's not a pretty thing. Although I don't know if I've ever had the pleasure or displeasure.
I think I've avoided it. So
yeah, me too. I think he probably tries to keep it in when he's around the ladies.
That's what she
The
said.
show was a solid 25%. Thank you, Nev.
Thanks, Nev. We'll take that as a compliment.
Appreciate that.
Well, it was half of our 50% on a 50% show. So
yeah. Now, you know what I should have done? Somebody made a comment earlier in the chat room. When there's only two of us on a Hangout on Air, you'll only see one of us at a time. You don't see the video thumbnails. And one way to avoid that, at one point I was using one of my devices to log in again. And that forces the thing to go into the thumbnail mode. But I didn't think about doing that until I was reading it in the chat room. I went, darn, I could have done that, but oh well.
That's all right.
So
I'm just a surprise. If you're talking, it's just a surprise that I'm here. If someone comes into the show midway through.
Yeah.
Pip thought you were all alone doing a show solo.
Yeah. Jordan Baus says, maybe I'll catch a quick Acme flight out to meet y'all. Where are you located again, Jordan? Are you on the West Coast?
Thanks, Mike.
100% of that 25% is Dr. Steph. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Kuipers. I thought you loved me. Riverside? Are you kidding me? Wow. Well, that would be something if you flew all the way out.
For a
next to I know where Riverside is. In fact, that's where I rented a Cessna 152 so that I could take my mom up flying and then my dad up flying, or vice versa. I don't remember which one went first, out of Riverside. And I still remember I'd just gotten my single engine rating specifically so I could take up my mom and dad flying, because they'd done so much for me and paid for my education. I thought the least that I could do was actually prove to them that I could actually fly an airplane. My mom, when she was still alive, when I was a co-pilot, she goes, and I'd fly into Los Angeles a lot in the L-1011. She goes, did the captain let you fly the airplane? Yes, Mom, the captain let me fly the airplane. And then after I became a captain, she didn't ask me that question anymore. I guess she figured I knew how to fly airplanes. But anyway, rented an airplane. I went up, you have to get qualified. If you're renting from a place that you've never rented from before, I think it's pretty much standard policy, isn't it, Steph?
Yeah, usually they want you to get checked out with one of their instructors, and it varies. The process varies. I've had anywhere from let's just go do a couple laps in the pattern. That looks fine. Here you go. To we want to see you do all of these maneuvers and take a written test about the aircraft.
Do another.
No, just their.
Damn.
No, just their own. A lot of flight schools will have their own knowledge test for different aircraft types.
Yeah. So
specific to that aircraft.
So I show up to the Riverside Airport, whatever the general aviation airport is. Excuse me. And it's foggy as all get out. I mean, it was crazy fog that you can get in Southern California at certain times of the year. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not certainly going to be flying anytime soon. And so I met with this instructor, and he goes, okay, we'll leave the pattern, go over the reservoir, do this, do that, and then come back and shoot a few patterns, and then you'll be all checked out. I went, okay. And so I'm going, he starts getting up to walk out, and I'm looking out the window going, where's he going? He goes, come on. I went, well, how are we going to fly? Yeah, the Marine layer, Liz.
Yeah.
How are we going to fly in this? And he goes, special VFR. And I said, huh? I was an Air Force pilot at the time, and trust me, with that kind of weather, we would not be leaving the squadron to go to the parachute room or whatever we called it to get the parachutes and the helmets and all that kind of stuff. What do we call that? I've already forgotten that term.
What? Sorry.
It's the place that you go and you grab your helmet, oxygen mask, G suit if you're flying the T-38.
Oh, I don't know what it's called.
And parachute. And I forgot what they called that that room.
It's like a ready room.
No, not a ready room. Anyway, trust me, if we had that kind of weather at the Air Force Base, we would have not been going out flying. Yeah, not ready room. I don't recall. So we went up, and as soon as we
hold on,
and we're going
right back.
think, yeah, as soon as we were rolling, I mean, we walked out there, and I'm thinking I can hardly see the airplane. So this can't be legal, but it was legal. I think special VFR is pretty much you kind of make up your own rules or something. I'm not sure, but and he took off, or we took off, and then about 25 feet above the ground, boom, crystal clear. Well, it was Southern California. It was not crystal clear, but it was a lot clearer. Still kind of smoggy. But the almost ready room. That's it, Pilot Pip. Almost ready. No. Darn it. Anyway, maybe the parachute shop. No, that's not right. Yeah, I'll think of it after we stop the broadcast. I'll think, oh, that's it.
That was it. I knew it.
Anyway, why did we get on this subject?
Because you were going to go out flying with this instructor to get checked out in a 152 to take your parents up.
Yeah.
But it was foggy.
I just don't know why.
I don't know how you got to that. I was reading something in the chat room, and then you were talking about like getting geared up, and I have no idea what that had to do with.
I don't know.
Special VFR, but anyway.
Pilot Pip, easy boy, easy. Loving Steph's husky voice.
Yeah, I really just want it to come back.
Down boy. Jordan was asking who will be in Atlanta, and I remember that part of it, but how in the world did I get? Oh, I know why. He said he lives in Riverside. He was explaining to me where Riverside was, and I remember because of that little thing. Okay, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Liz. Yeah, and the one and only NASCAR race I've ever attended, and I was, I think, maybe 12 years old. My dad took me to the Riverside 500. And it's been a very, very, very long time since they've had a NASCAR race in Riverside. Yeah. And I don't even know if they have. I think it was a road course too. Wasn't a oval, but it was a road course. But yeah, all I remember really from it was that it was very, very loud. And we were kind of like along this fence line. And I remember there was like a crash that happened not too far from where we were standing. All right. Well, Liz. Oh.
Thank goodness, no beer on the table today.
Dang, that was loud. Sorry, people. Hope I didn't scare anybody. Yeah. So there you go. I'm just blabbing on about nothing, as I want to do. That's what we do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're getting the reaction now. Whoa. Wow. Whoa. Yeah, rookie mistake there. I put my hand up and
caught the edge of the
hit the boom of this mic stand. Here, I'll try to get it out of the way. All right. Anything else anybody wants to ask about or talk about before we shut the thing off? Not bad. It's 4:13 your time. Steph. Okay. Yep. Still have a little bit left in Labor Day. You going to do anything special like grill or anything?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to do a whole lot of anything. I'm going to continue to rest and relax and hopefully be 100% back at work tomorrow.
Excellent. All right.
So,
well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm meeting up with my FO at 5:00 local, 6:00 Eastern, and we're going to probably go to that barbecue place, the name of which is Bite Me. I love that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And yeah. All right. So here we go. I'm going to stop the broadcast. Oops, it's over here in this one. Okay, here we go. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See you Friday.